Decide on what you want. The third and probably the most important success principle of the Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Stay tuned because in this episode we're going to help uncover what it is you actually really want. Hello and welcome to the Unlocked podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Locke, professional speaker, magician and confidence coach. And quite simply, Unlocked is a journal of self-improvement. I'm talking to the experts, authors and successful people from around the world, as well as sharing my mishaps and magical adventures in my own life too, to unlock the best version of ourselves. My aim is to give you some insight and inspiration so you can unlock the best version of yourself too. Now, if this sounds like your cup of tea, then hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my latest episodes released every Wednesday. Now, relax and enjoy the show. All right, so welcome to this next part of my mini-series of the Success Principles. If you haven't listened to the other previous two episodes, which is the taking responsibility for yourself and the be clear on why you're here, then go back. Head to the link in the show notes, actually. You can find the episodes. But go back, listen to episode 53 and episode 60 so you can understand how to take responsibility and be clear on why you're here. So let's talk about the third principle, decide on what you want. I love this one. This is one of my favorite principles. And I think that we are so unclear of what it is we actually want in life. Now, usually people don't get what they want because they don't define what it is in a compelling or specific way, and so forth. They are not clear about what they want. Put this in an example that you would easily understand. If you stepped into a taxi and the taxi driver said, "Where you going, mate?" You don't say to them, "I don't know, take me wherever." You say to the taxi driver, "Yeah, I need to go to this location," right? So this is the same with what's going on with us, right? We need to understand where it is we're actually going and what is it we actually want. Like I said in episode 1 of this podcast nearly 2 years ago, in What Fuels Your Boat, how can you celebrate success if you don't know where you're going? It's exactly the same thing because we need to understand what it is that we actually want and just be clear about it. Now, don't panic, because if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I've got no idea what I want in my life, I've got no idea what I want in the future, maybe a dream job, I don't know what that is, don't panic, because we're going to help you out in this episode. We're going to give you a little strategy that will help you unlock what it is that you actually want. Now, just to give a bit of backstory with this, there is a common reason why we as adults don't often know what it is that we want. If you take into example, as I've shared on this podcast before, my beautiful daughter, Alma, she is almost 9 months at the time of this recording, and she knows exactly what she wants. Because as babies do, when they don't get what they want, what do? They cry. And quite loud as well. It's ear-piercingly loud. That's what babies do. When they don't get what they want, they cry. Now, because Alma's also 9 months old now, she's also in that stage now where she's crawling everywhere, which is really difficult to keep an eye on because it literally just look for 1 second, look away, and then she's across the room and she crawls really, really fast, right? Same thing. She knows exactly what she wants and she goes after it. She crawls after it, really. But this is, as Jack mentions in the principle, as you get a little older, like I'm probably going to do this with Alma, I'll probably be telling her off saying, "Don't touch that, Alma. That's hot. Stop crying. You can't eat that." This is a common one actually now because it's lovely summer at the minute whilst we're recording this. And in the garden, she starts picking up grass and starting to eat it. So I have to keep saying, "No, don't eat that. Don't eat that." So there's no surprise, is there? Because at this point, you've probably heard of loads of those phrases like "don't touch this, stop crying." And one of my favorites that Jack talks about in the Success Principle is that, like, my parents said this to me, you can't have everything you want just because you want it. So because of our childhood programming and conditioning and some of the conditioning that I'm probably giving to Alma right now by telling her not to do stuff, it is no surprise that we don't often know what it is that we want. So what can we start to do to start thinking about what it is that we actually want? The first thing Jack mentions is that we need to start to train ourselves to choose exactly what we want and start saying out loud our preferences. Example, going out for a meal and going through the menu and going, I don't know what I want. I don't know what. Be clear on what it is you want. The classic example here, I love this one, and Daniel will hate me for saying this, but you know that feeling when if you've got a partner, or if you're with some friends, and you all say let's have a takeaway, and you get that common thing of, oh, what does he want? Oh, I don't know. What do you want? Oh, I'm not sure. I'll have whatever. What is it you want? Do you want Chinese? Do you want some pizza? Do you want some a curry? What would you like? Oh, I don't know. Whatever you choose. No, I don't know what I want. What do you want? Right? And it just goes back and forth, right? And here's some strategies that Jack says that we can start to think about. You need to be quite clear and just start saying out loud what your preferences are. Don't say like a teenager, I just goes whatever, or I just don't know. Start thinking about what it is you want. But if you don't know, then you can start asking yourself these sort of things. So ask yourself, what if I knew? What would that be? If I cared, what would that look like? Because here's the thing, if we don't start being clear about what it is that we want, then that means that others, their needs are coming before ours. So we need to start being a little bit more clear about what it is we want. So the next time I'm going to have a takeaway, I'm going to say exactly what it was. I want pizza tonight, Danielle. And then I'll probably fight and argue, and then I'll let her have whatever she wants. I'm only joking. But this is really, really important, because we need to start thinking about being clear what it is that we want. So, and don't fall for that old phrase of you can't have everything you want, because like Jack, we can. So he has a really cool example in his in the Success Principles, which is about this blue notebook. He goes to this seminar where he sits on the front row, and there's all notebooks that are being handed out, and they're all on the chairs, and he grabs one, and his on his chair is yellow. And he's not a big fan of yellow. It's not his favourite colour, and he was a bit disappointed by it. And he was just going to keep it and stick with it. And the speaker at the actual seminar shouts out to the room and says, obviously you've all got these little notebooks, but if you don't like your colour, then go swap it. Go say to somebody else in the seminar and swap it, because you're allowed and you deserve to have exactly what you want. So he goes up to somebody else and says, oh, hello there. I can see you've got a blue notebook. My notebook is yellow. I'm not a big fan of yellow. Would you mind if we swap? And this lady said, yeah, of course. I actually quite like yellow. Yellow's one of my favourite colours. And it makes me feel really happy having that yellow colour. And they swap. And that was one of the turning points for Jack, which obviously then started to create these principles to say, actually, that was a turning point in his life where he said, I can have everything we want. We don't have to just be satisfied with like he was when he just got that yellow notebook. He wanted the blue notebook, so he did it. So don't fall for that you can't have everything you want, because like Jack says in the Success Principles, you can. But this is how you start to understand what it is you want. So the first strategy that he talks about is to make a list of 30 things that you want to do, have, and be before you die. So make a list and literally let go of all of your limitations. Don't have any limiting beliefs. If it's that you want to be, I don't know, like a professional footballer, a professional basketball player, a professional magician, whatever it might be. Or it could be that you want to have X amount of money in your bank, whatever it might be. Put it down. There's no limitations. Literally just put 30 things down of what you want to do, have, and be before you die, and let it all unfold. A second strategy, what you can do as well, this one's one of my favorites actually, is get a friend and just for 10 to 15 minutes, get them to ask you, what is it you want? So what do you want? Get them to ask it over and over and over. Now, at first, you might get some silly things that might come out, like it could be like something that is really, really, really crazy, right? And that's a good thing, but a bit like the root cause thing, this is quite a common thing in business where you do the why. The more you ask that question, which is what do you want, the real you will start to open up. So, for example, as he says, you might say, hey, I want to have a mansion in Miami, right? And as you start to ask that, one of the things that he might actually want is to be happy and fulfilled. And that's the thing that we really, really, really want to do, right? So that's one of the cool things to do is get a friend for 10 to 15 minutes and get them to start saying to you, what is it that you want? And jot everything down. And the first strategy is, again, 20 things that you love doing. And that's kind of like what we discussed before on the Be Clear Why You're Here. You know, what fills your cup? What are you passionate about? Write 20 things down that you love doing, and that will start to help you understand what it is that you want. Jack mentions a really great example in this, which is quite fitting to me. He mentions about how he loves talking to people. And a lot of people think, oh, I couldn't really make a career out of that, right? I can't make a career of just talking to people. Now, as he says, Oprah Winfrey made a career out of it, and a very successful career of it too. Now, I can't believe that my careers advisor back at school, I love talking. I don't think they would have said, yes, Ricky, you can make a career out of this. No, because I was probably encouraged to go into, be an electrician or an engineer or something like that. But actually, you can make a career out of it. So that is a great example for me. I love talking to people, and this podcast is going to be that platform that will help me be that professional speaker, get that TED Talk, because I love talking to people and I love understanding and unlocking that best version of ourselves and that personal development journey. So yeah, just start writing down what it is you like doing. If you love talking to people too, then stick it down, jot it down in there. Okay. Now, obviously, one of the next things is that, Jack, so I've obviously got the Success Principles workbook, which is a really great thing. It's a good aid for the actual Success Principles book. I'd highly recommend it. I'll stick a little link in the show notes. It's a lovely book where you can actually fill it out as you go along. But he then starts breaking it down into categories such as like finances, relationships, health and fitness. You've got a work, career, fitness goals as well, free time, recreation. Maybe there's some possessions. We've got making a difference. So what is your contribution or your legacy to the world? And start breaking it down into categories with the question of what is it that you want? And you just list it, everything you want. And then you can also put the reason why you want that as well. So say, for example, one of mine that I did last year when I was studying this was that I wanted a Rodecaster Pro. And this is what the podcast is now being recorded on. It was a possession that I wanted. And the big reason why was because I wanted to create better content, cut all the time down on the editing to then spend more time investing in that personal development journey to create better content and get better guests on. But yeah, start thinking about those categories. So finance, health and fitness. What is it that were your career, your dreams, free time, fun, hobbies, traveling, possessions, whatever it might be, jewelry, whatever you'd like, a house. If you want to live in Scotland or in Australia, whatever it is you want, start breaking it down into those categories. And then you can start to think about what it is that you want. What fills your cup? What are you passionate about? Get that all in there as well. Because what you'll then start to identify is you're building a vision. So all of these things that you really want will now start to unfold and get into a vision of what it is you want. So from the first principle on episode 53, we understand about taking responsibility for our own success. So choosing how we feel with the events that happen in our life. We've kind of understood on episode 60 of being clear why we're here. So what is our passion? What is our purpose? Why are we here to do it? And now you can start to be quite clear about what it is that you want. But dream big, absolutely go for it. JFK, great example. He had a vision to get the man on the moon, get a man on the moon before the decade was over. And he did. We got people on the moon. And now space travel, we've got obviously Elon Musk taking over the world. That was all because he had a vision. He had a big dream and he put it down. That was what he wanted. But one of the greatest quotes that I like about this episode is the one from Marianne Williamson, which is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Your playing small does not serve the world. Put it down, whatever it might be. If you want to be a published author, an international speaker, a TED talker, these are some of mine. Whatever it might be, if you want to earn, 100K a year, stick it down, because there is no limitations here. You deserve to have exactly what you want, just like Jack did with the whole blue notebook, yellow notebook example, right? The last reference I'll give to this is a really great one. It's a really nice one he talks about in the principles, which is like GPS. Now, obviously GPS, we don't really use that in England. So if you're listening in England, we'll probably say sat nav in that British format. But GPS obviously stands for Global Positioning System. In your sat nav or in your GPS, when you put a destination in, what happens? You get all the details. You get all the instructions, the roads, the details of where you're going to have to go. Well, this is the same principle which will apply with what we want. If you start and think about what it is that you want, then and how we're going to get there, well, not how we're going to get there, but what it is that you want, the how will start to involve. So when I say this, it's really important. Don't bog yourselves down with how you're going to get there. Just write down what it is that you want. the how will unfold through some of these next principles. So like goal setting, affirmations, that's just like that GPS thing. So such as whatever it is that you want with your affirmations and your goal setting, that is what's going to get you to it. So that's the how, which we're going to review in the next principle, which is goal setting, which is which is quite good. That's what we're going to then cover on the next principle, on success principle number 4. But start thinking about what it is you want. Don't get bogged down with how you're going to get there. If it seems impossible, don't worry about it, because all the other principles we're going to uncover will help you get to where you want. Dream big. Give it a go, write it down, and even let me know. Get in touch. Let me know on social media, what is it that you want, and maybe how can I help you get to where you want to be. I will actually, for the patrons, I'm going to share in an upcoming behind the scenes episode of 4 goals with some affirmations, which was created from this big list of the things that I wanted. One was obviously a TED Talk. One was a financial goal, which I won't share for you guys, but I will share the exact number of what I wanted to earn a month, which was almost double what I used to get in my career. And I'll share that just for the patrons to give you an idea of that this shit works. It's real. It does work. Sorry for the language there, but I'm going to share that with you. So if you want to be a patron, come and join. It's only like £1 or £3 every month, or $2. I think it might be the conversion rate. I'm not too sure, but you can watch that video and I'll share with you the affirmations and the goal setting that I've created from writing down everything that I wanted and how I'm now working towards that. And into 2 out of the 4 goals have already been smashed, which is great. So anyway, there you go. So just to recap that, it's really important to be clear on what it is that you want. You're playing small does not serve the world. So write it down, dream big, be huge, whatever it is that you want. Stop focusing on the how for now. Just write it down. What is it that you want to do, be, or have before you die? And just start thinking about those different categories you could break that down into. So finance, it could be work, relationships, health, maybe free time, some possessions, maybe personal or even spiritual growth, and what it is maybe as a contribution or your legacy. Start writing it down. Don't worry about whatever it is. Just stick it down. You can obviously put your reason why you want that as well if you want to. But just start doing it, or even use one of the strategies I mentioned, the second strategy, which is my favorite. Get a friend, and for 10 to 15 minutes, get them to ask you, what do you want, over and over? What do you want? And you will start to unfold the real you, and you will start to get some real stuff that you really, really want in life. So there we go. That is the third principle, decide on what you want, by Jack Canfield. Loving this series. I know it's been a little while. We did the rule of 5 as well, which is another principle in adjacent with this one. We're going to get the next one, which is goal setting. So that's coming out soon. But if you enjoyed this, then head over to Apple Podcast, leave a review. Let us know what you think. I'm absolutely loving doing all of these wonderful little success principles, and they really help me in my business. And they've actually got me to where I want to be right now. And I'm going to share those with you and to the patrons, a little bit more intimate of my goals and where I've got to. But as always, thank you to the patrons of the podcast, Anthony Howe, Sherry Brenton, Steve McDermott, Rory Barnes, and Chris Lovett for your continued support. It always means a lot. But yeah, head over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, let us know what you think to this episode, and good luck unlocking the best version of yourself and using this principle, which is decide on what you want. Goodbye, everybody.